I'd like to start off by welcoming you to Pivot Cloud Solutions. Um, I'm Jacinta Mandiam. I'm the co-founder, and I'm going to be joined later on by my other co-founder, Guru Prasad, who's going to answer questions that were raised by people who have registered for this presentation. Many of you will be familiar with Arthur C. Clarke, and he was a science fiction writer. And one of his more famous quotes seems a bit apt, because one of the first reactions that we get when we're speaking about our AI solution for legacy systems and its migration to the cloud is that that's wonderful, but it sounds almost too good to be true. And we can understand that, but so we decided we might as well address it straight off before we actually go into this full presentation. And those of you who have been joining us in the previous webinars know exactly what the issues are on the ground, whether your background is in technology or business. You're here because you know firsthand what the issues are, how difficult it is to make changes quickly to legacy systems, if you're in the techie end of things. And if you're in the more business frontline end of things, perhaps you're rather frustrated with what you might see as excuses, and all you're interested in is results. Well, we're here because we want to show you a different way of dealing with your legacy system. And from our perspective, it's the next step up from the current API solution that links in with your legacy system and tries to match it to more third-party products that are in the cloud. We all know what legacy systems are, and for the purposes of this presentation, I'm mostly referring to mainframe legacy systems, but I should point out that the solution is not confined to mainframes. So mainframes and a lot of other legacy systems have been held on to in part because they're quite robust, but they're very limited in terms of them being adapted to a more modern setting, not to mention into the future. And a lot of the solutions in the past have been confined to three main areas, which is manually extract the information from the legacy systems over a period of time, usually years, or to use code parsers to try to speed up the process, or a more modern solution, which is lift and shift. However, from a business perspective, these can be quite costly. They tend to result in partial modernization, and they're not as flexible as more cloud native solutions. Our Pivot Cloud platform solution provides modernization and a return on investment in weeks. And crucially, we provide a choice, which is to move to the cloud in a relatively short space of time. We're talking weeks, or you can leave your legacy system as is, and by applying our platform, you can actually reap the benefits in terms of automation, analysis, and very rapid agile development without having to touch your legacy system or make changes to it into the future, but you still have the comfort of having your legacy system available. And specifically, the return on investment in weeks is provided by our AI platform, and it crucially involves no downtime for your live system, which would explain how we could actually do it in weeks. The no disruption involves we don't have to bring down your live system. We don't have to dismantle what is actually there. There's no difficulty in terms of perhaps not knowing the original architecture of the mainframe, say in the case of an AS400, which is a big problem for many established businesses. And we don't have a problem with the fact that there may not be sufficient documentation, if any at all, which is showing what's going on in the system because changes have been made over the years. But what you might ask, does it mean in practical terms for you to have a return on investment in weeks? So our AI follows the data, the what, the when, and the how throughout your system, not just the legacy system. And it follows it into third-party links. So for example, you can use our solution to automate and optimize claims processing very easily, because you only need to send to your claims teams those particularly more complex claims. So a lot of the processing can actually be automated. We provide insights to what exactly is going on in your system by actually learning what's happening in your current live system. And we don't, as I was saying previously, we don't need to have the documentation. We don't even need to have the actual code in order to extract that information. Our AI has been set up specifically to recognize legacy systems and to learn over a period of weeks what is actually happening in your current live system. So you might ask, how does this work in practical terms? Well, our AI solution is cloud-based and we work with your existing teams. So stage one is actually to prioritize what the goals and objectives of your team would be, and to work that out and to link in and configure our system to your live system. Stage three is then to run and to learn what's actually happening in your live system by capturing the data, analyzing what's going on, and mapping the internal processes. And the thing is, with AI can read thousands, if not millions, of records, and the more data, the better for it to actually learn what exactly is happening within your live system. And business can continue as normal while this is actually taking place. And once the data has been captured, it's then a question of what choice do you want to make from this point? Do you want to proceed to creating a more modern architecture and, for example, microservices, and then copying your system into the cloud? Or do you want to just proceed to using automation, because it's in a format where it can actually be easily automated using our tools? And you can use analysis for your business analysts, and you can use low code, no code, very rapid development. Our software solution empowers your existing teams, which really makes it stand out from other solutions, because you don't need to have teams of consultants in order to carry out this transformation. You don't need teams of data analysts. You don't need AI experts, because the expertise is actually developed into the software platform itself. There's also no vendor lock-in. We are cloud agnostic. You can have a public cloud, or you can have your own private on-premise cloud. You can use whatever programming languages you want as well. If you want your legacy system now in the same programming languages as perhaps other systems within your business. We also provide easy links to third-party products, and you can also easily switch providers into the future. So I do realize that's a rather brief overview of the solution, and time constraints dictate that is a necessity. So I'd like to move on to the Q&A, where I'm joined by Guru, who is going to answer any questions that you might have. So feel free to put them into the chat and we can answer them. And we're going to address some of the issues that came up from people in the previous session. So Guru, if you'd like to join in at this point.
Thank you, Jacinta. I'm happy to answer the questions you put forward.
That's brilliant. So I have the questions here. So I think we'll just press on so we can get as many addressed as possible. The first question is, how exactly does it work?
The quick and easy answer is AI, but it's looks so broad. AI is so broad thing. So we'll go into the little bit in detail. Basically, we set up our system to look at from a user point of view in a non-agent based environment. And when you start using the system as normal, the AI will be listening and the AI will be profiling the data and capturing the data and analyzing in real time and mapping out what exactly going on within the system. Once it is understands and verifies in a multiple sessions, and it will be able to document each and every scenario and report it back. And here is the way it happens. It's a fact-based analysis. So hope that answers in a higher level.
Yeah, it does. And I'd also, could you speak a bit more about the advantages of having a live system up and running in terms of comparisons with what the AI platform actually produces?
So the AI, the platform will be set up in a different modes. First of all, first step is to analyze what system we have. For example, if we have an old CRM system in place, that's the web-based user interface with the middleware and the database. So your first aim is to profile entire system to understand what is going on, and that they may be written at a closed source, and you may not have access to the source code and the middleware system. So the AI, it is set up to for the front end and to the data level, and it will be monitoring both sides. There is no agents involved, so it could be a distributed system. You can be running on parallelly. It will not be touching all the users you are using the system except the ones that is being used, i.e. your business analyst is using the platform to teach the AI, this is how my CRM system works, and here is a different functionalities I touch on a daily basis. AI will start profiling them and then figuring it out what is happening within the system and documenting them as it go. The more it learns and more you use the system, accurate it gets.
So you mean they're just going about their normal day-to-day business?
That is it.
Yeah, and so they're not doing anything special or specific for to enable the data to be captured. They're just doing their normal business. So AI is just working in the background to capture that information.
That's correct.
Okay, so can you expand a bit on what exactly it means to be a non-disruptive modernization of a legacy system?
In a simplest terms, the setup will take days, and there is no disruption to your environment. In a normal scenario, if you're involved in enterprise systems, there's always going to be, you need to change their internal network or internal system or internal installing the agents or anything like that internal system. That will not only changes the how the systems perform, but also the throughput of the system and other maintenance and everything else. Pivot Cloud Platform is a totally different from that perspective. It will not change. It will not interfere with it at all. Previously, you will be using your system directly. Instead, now you are one of the business analysts, a few of the business analysts who are going to be running all the scenarios will be using the platform. So they will be presented exactly the same view. Now they will be using a platform instead of their system directly. So besides that, there is absolutely no change. So there is absolutely no disruption. There is no interface. There is no IT involved. There's nothing involved in
it. Does it work with all types of legacy systems? And if so, could you give us some examples?
The AI the AI engine is being designed to work with any type of system. First of all, it needs a data. AI is only as good as the quality of the data is going to get. We trained at the moment to target the 3-tier type of systems, are they COBOL, RPGL, PL1 type of legacy backend systems. Any other systems, like I say, Adibas type of things, it will require targeting them at the configuration stage. Will address all those issues.
Okay.
Say we could say 9 out of 10 cases it will work, and the one case it doesn't work due to whatever the reasons you have internally, we'll be able to flag and tell you beforehand.
Okay. Amin is asking, how would it connect to data sources and file systems, etc.?
So with a private connection, so all you are doing is giving a JDBC type of connectivity, username and password and the host name, so that it will database connection as a read-only access to that data source. But if you are looking for, they say your analysis or the RPA, there is no need to have a data access. You're looking for business rules profiling, then there is a requirement for the data access. In that case, all we need is database access as from a user, read-only access to that database. This is where non-disruption comes in. It will not change any data except it accesses the data.
Thank you, Amin, for your question. Guru, what do you need to get started?
At the minimum, a business analyst, the user, end user who's going to be using the system and the platform, and that's all required to get started.
Okay. Could you speak a bit about how the platform can help to uncover business rules embedded in legacy code base?
So the AI is about analyzing the large amount of data and finding the patterns and bringing back a specific information that's been requested. We specifically designed what we call internally as a BQL, business query language, where you target, you say, when the insurance customer changes address and their premium calculations are going to change, where are these premium calculations are being applied and how they're applied. So when you start using the customer, changing the customers to different customers for different addresses, now AI will be able to figure it out what rules been applied and when are applied and how they're applied. And that completely documents so that when you go into the next time and you could just see when a customer changes from one state to another state address and these are the rules are applied, and the rules are coming from this particular data sources, and these are the different aspects of the rules being applied.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer is asking, what scale or size of systems is this solution intended for?
This is intended for the large scale systems. It is not intended for something that is so simple where you can make changes in a day or 2 days or a week with the consultants. You don't go into hassle of taking the platform and training an AI and deploying it and going through your security, your internal IT departments, where they'll have a lot of questions to be ticked, even though we have a GC as accreditation for all the different security and aspects of the cloud. You still need to go through the procedure. You don't have that level of things just for a small system. But if systems like I say in insurance places where you may have 100 or 200 different products developed on RPG, they're moving them into cloud. It is an enormous manual job. Our system can do in a flat 3 months, which probably takes 1 to 2 years for a manual migration.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add to any of those areas that have already been mentioned? Guru? Hello?
No, I think you answered. So any specific information you need, we can organize a demo and we can show exactly how a system performs.
Okay.
See mainframe systems.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just checking to see if there's yeah, there's one more question from Amin, and he says, say there's a legacy mainframe system set up and running for like 40 years. and many external systems depend on this. And the enterprise want to migrate to cloud using this product. What would the modernization be offered?
Okay,
What modernization would be offered?
that's a very good question. I mean, so if there is a legacy system, like I say, it is developed in a COBOL system, BMS, and the JCL type of environment, either your interface with MQ, or even you have a API layers developed and trying to fetch the information to the front end and things like that. In that case, what we do it is stage by stage, systematic stage by stage migration, where you take each module, containerize it, move to cloud, relink your existing API or MQ to the containerized application. So now, likewise, where instead of running in a mainframe, now it's running on a cloud on a containerized environment. Now, our API, our system automatically generates REST APIs for that container. You can choose your language, Node.js, Python, Go languages. You can start working with it, any of the current functionality as it's going through. So the existing API based or MQ based interfaces, they continue using the containerized application while you are adding a new functionality, say the mobile application, new functionality you are adding. So that mobile path is from a REST based interface. So you are adding more functionality to the existing component and working with it. So once that is achieved, so once you start working that, now the component can be migrated into the microservice, because those interfaces are going to be working exactly like before, risk-free and hassle into the new modern languages. So now you can get rid of all the COBOL JCLs. You move on with a new microservice environment, but it will be done component by component, because AI can do it in a parallel. You are basically, most of the heavy work from your side is to working with those interfaces with your internal IT teams.
Thank you, Guru. Well, I mean, I hope that answers your question, and I'm afraid we're actually running out of time. So we have to bring this presentation to a close.